Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat on the way in, right? Hopefully you guys can hear me. Let me get a one in the chat for those of you that could hear me, please and thank you, right? So first let me give myself a little bit of elbow room. Um was about to start this stream and I realized everybody's streaming, goddamn. Right? So we Medium Man is streaming and Dr. T is streaming and Dr. Green Gorilla is streaming. I'm like, well, let me give myself some elbow space and sit at the table then. Um, but yeah, okay. So we're going to go over this a space for us, which is a group of same-sex loving Black women. I'm not sure what area of the country they're from. I've caught a few of their videos. I've been loosely following them. I want to say they've said it or alluded to it before. Before I just because this is the first video I've watched from them in a little while. And I didn't binge watch their channel earlier today. I didn't have the time, unfortunately. Um, but think about things a little differently. And there's the purpose for this is just to hear what same-sex loving Black women think about what's going on, like they said, in the heterosexual community, which is funny because like that is the community, and I don't mean that to be like insulting to the ladies, like like the segment of the population that's same-sex loving, even in the Black community, is still like a great minority, right? So like, yeah. Anyway, um, but the a space for us, it's very interesting to hear them speak about what's going on with straight people, right? And I I just find their takes on different things interesting. So when I saw that they covered this, I was like, okay, let's see what they got to say. All right, right. So, but we're this is just listening in, right? So the purpose for this is just to hear other what people that's not so invested in the outcome have to say, right? So there's nothing greater than that necessarily. I did find it interesting that these ladies did say that they need men too, just not in that capacity, not in a sexual capacity. And one of them kind of spoke to like men pretty much saying like, yeah, either y'all need us like this too, or you don't get nothing. And I'm not 100% in agreement with that, although I understand the sentiment, and here's why, ladies. Um, I think men have been taken for granted, particularly Black men, by Black women in a way that hasn't been addressed in the wider conversation in the Black community, and in particular in media. And I'm gonna come to Kevin Samuels in a minute because he was brought up in the conversation. And so when you hear these men speak this way, understand and as men, well, just all of you are masculine presenting, same-sex loving women, understand that a lot of women want manhood for free. They want Black men to perform as essentially off-brand white men, but for free, because they're taxing Black men with the Black tax, because Black men aren't white men in a white supremacist society. So they want you to perform communal tasks for individual Black women, take care of individual Black women after their F-ups for free. And so when you hear Black men say, oh no, you're going to come up off that thing for this stability, for this wisdom for your son, for this playing a father figure for your children, you're gonna pay somehow. Understand why that is because Black men and their masculinity and their manhood is insulted, demeaned, and taken for granted, right? It's insulted and demeaned and taken for granted because it's seen as, well, you still ain't the white man though, right? So understand, I know it might be off-putting to have that energy coming from men, straight men, saying like, no, either you're gonna pay somehow, right? I know it must be off-putting, but understand where that energy comes from, especially when your manhood is taken for granted. Number one. Number two, right? I want to say this pretty much on the offset again. Um, ladies, and y'all are all black women. So what has to be said also, in particular, is there's a whole lot of black women are the most same-sex loving group of people in America. Not just same-sex loving women, but same-sex loving group of people in America. Mainly because of bisexuality, right? I want to say this, and it's going to be offensive, and I'm okay with that. You do realize that it's not love. I want to be very clear. I argue that it's not love, it's opportunism. And y'all are running into that as more masculine presenting black women. What y'all are running into, and be honest, is a whole lot of women who burnt bridges with straight black men, did the interracial thing because black men ain't ish, so they did the interracial thing with white dudes and Latino dudes, and then they come to y'all after the fact. Now, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, ladies. Me on my channel, I send them to y'all from the jump because we have a whole lot of black women talking a whole lot of crap about black men, and so I tell them, go swirl or divest or go eat the box from the jump. If black men are that horrible, black men ain't changing, black men are trash, absolute what dumpster fires, right? Black men are trash, you're absolutely right, and we ain't budging. Fine, go date same sex or go date white or Latino. Now here's the catch. The interracial marriage rate for black women is super low. Black women are telling us it's because of loyalty. I'm a straight black man. I've been around white and Latino dudes my entire life. It ain't loyalty. One of the most open secrets in the black community is that a whole lot of black women are having sex with white dudes and Latino dudes. The white dudes and Latino dudes are making sure not to give them a oops baby, and they're not becoming relationships, let alone marriages. That's why you don't know about them. But we do know about 15% of children born from mothers in the black community is from non-black men. We do know that, right? And those children, because of the way the racial laws are written in America, those children are considered black. So you don't know that this dude got a white daddy or Latino daddy when you look at the census forms. You got to do the math and figure out, wait a minute. Black women are the only group of women in America that have more children than their men. Who are they having their children with? Well, a segment of that is that a lot of black women are having children from the same dudes in black America. But another segment of that is that black women are having a whole lot of children from non-black men, right? That's never taken into account in the conversation, especially when black women start speaking about loyalty, right? Black women are so loyal. They're the most loyal group of people in the country. Meanwhile, black men are the least loyal. And then you look at the interracial, you look at the mixed childbirth. And it's like, oh, y'all said loyalty. Yeah, where Uncle Sam come from with the light skin with the freckles and the red hair? Where he came from? Redheaded stepchild, anyone? I'm just saying, right? Why Uncle Julio got this like silky wavy hair? His name is Julio. Okay, continuing. It's important that we kind of get this said. Black women got to run the conversation for the better part of 50 or 60 years. Like, white racist media put the microphone in front of black women. Black men's main recourse or response was through music, mainly through hip hop. Racist white society gave black women the microphone. I would like to direct you to any talk show from the 90s. Look how many segments CNN and the like did with black women, or essentially the titles would be something like this. Like, I'm being a little facetious, but black women are kicking ass, and they're stuck in the black community with these garbage trash black men. What say you, black woman? Right? And so, that conversation that's been being had just labeled black men as dusties, right? for lack of a better word. Now, going to the term dusty, you know, it's a common trope all across, red pill spaces that, women are human beings and men are human doings. Men have to become. Women get to pop out the womb, hit puberty, and they're just women. They don't have to become anything. They're just women. They hit 18 and they're women. They go from girls to women, just like that. Men have to become. You can't insult a woman by calling her a little girl. Mr. Z does it, but it's not something that sticks. Nobody cares about calling a woman a girl. But you could call a man a boy all day, every day, and everyone knows exactly what you're saying. My point. My point. And Louis Conyer, thank you for the super sticker. Thank you very much. Well, it's actually a super chat. He says salute, brother, salute. Thank you very much. Right. And for same-sex loving women, black women who are still invested in the black community and want to see black heterosexual relationships work out, and many of you that sit on the panel, you like seeing strong black men and you like seeing strong black families. So salute, like Louis Conyer said, salute. Thank you very much. But to maintain that, we have to have an honest conversation. Now, this is where Kevin Samuels come in. Now, Kevin Samuels was mentioned, and it was said, like, okay, Kevin Samuels has put a battery in some of these dudes' back, but, and y'all were honest, but some of these women were sounding crazy on his channel, and they low-key deserved what they got. No, it ain't even low-key. See, as masculine presented black women, y'all get to see a little bit of insanity from the ladies. Y'all still ain't seeing what we see. And as a matter of fact, y'all spoke to it. The expectations on men from women, it's delusional. Y'all got to see a bit of it on Kevin Samuels' show. We've had multiple female dating coaches, female matchmakers that gave up on doing it because they said that black women are delusional. From April Mason to Rebecca Lynn Pope, there's a few others that are slipping my mind right now, but they said that black women are delusional. That's black women who are matchmakers saying, yeah, I can't do this. Y'all okay. Right? There are studies that have been done. BGS covered this. There are studies that have been done where they ask women about what they expect from men, what they're looking for from men, what makes a man, and black women consistently are the harshest about their requirements on men to be considered men. Right? So if we all, or the majority of the black American community still come from a group of people that came from slavery, Jim Crow pretty much just ended, on paper at least, 50 some odd years ago. It's debatable whether some of those laws, some of the legislators are trying to bring some of those laws back, but that's another debate. For us to come from that background, and yet the women that come from that background are demanding that the men that come from that background outperform even the men that designed that system that's biting them and their sons in the rear end right now. See, the biggest lie being told right now, particularly by feminists, is that women don't want patriarchy. No. Women, straight women, want patriarchy by feminist specifications. They still want providers, protectors. They just don't want to pay anything for it. And when I say pay, I don't necessarily just mean financial. They don't want to pay anything for it. They don't want to be kind. They don't want to be considerate. They don't want to be thoughtful, right? They want to practice negative liberty. They don't want to consider what men want, like, think, or any of it, right? You're supposed to be provider, protector off a GP just because, right? These are things that we don't often consider when we speak about black men, black women relationships, heterosexual relationships, right? It's not a both and, right? What Kevin Samuels exposed in many ways was a response to Oprah and Terry McMillan and Bell Hooks and Maya Angelou, etc., etc. He put a microphone in front of their daughters and granddaughters' faces and showed these are the women that you said are better than black men. These are the daughters, excuse me, the daughters and granddaughters of the women that you said were better than black men. And these women would raise better children. These women left alone, left to their own devices, would raise better daughters. And what you saw is that these women, that's our mothers and grandmothers, that's older Xers and boomers, and maybe the very, very youngest of silent generation, they raised okay students, maybe even good students, right? They raised okay employees, maybe even good employees, people with entrepreneurial spirit, okay, not bad, and horrible wives and girlfriends, absolutely atrocious wives and girlfriends. And even you ladies have to experience that every once in a while. If they act like that with y'all as butch and masculine presenting black women, how you think they act with straight black men? If they're delusional with you ladies, what you think they sound like when they talking to us? Right? Imagine a 50-something-year-old man, we're talking about Kevin Samuels now, having to look a 23-year-old black woman in the face who's telling him, average, who want to be with average anyway, right? Who's talking down to him. This man is old enough to be her father. And the 23-year-old is speaking down to Kevin Samuels. That shows you the level of contempt for black men that black women have. That a 23-year-old is starting the conversation off being condescending. It's telling this man that black men are mediocre, black men are losers. Saying that to another black man to his face. That is what black men have to contend with in the dating scene. That's who Dr. Umar Johnson is telling black men to turn into wives. Women like that. Women like that enter the dating scene, get salty because they're delusional, mean, condescending, contemptuous, etc., etc. Then when the dating scene doesn't turn out the way they appreciate, then, because white society is smart at this, white society gives them a microphone and then asks them, hey, what's up with black men? Right? This is where we get all of that in the 90s. This is where you get all the, well, black men are secretly gay. That's where you get the DL comments from. But black men do everything they do for white women. The second they get on, they leave us for white women, right? Or black men are lazy. Black men are shiftless. Black men are horrible fathers. Black men are horrible boyfriends, horrible husbands. They're abusive. They manipulate. They do this. They do. Of course. So what you saw on Kevin Samuels' show is what black men in America have been having to deal with on the dating scene for decades. That went unaddressed. The entire world act like, what? What are you talking about? Right? And y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Right? So the beauty of what Kevin exposed is these are the women that Steve Harvey chastises black men about, that Dr. Umar Johnson chastises black men about, that even some of your good-natured, good-hearted lefties like FD Signifier chastises black men about. Right? The overall narrative about black men is about how horrible they are, how horrible of partners they are for black women. Right? That's the narrative. And that's what Kevin Samuels exposed. is these are the women that are these are the women that your good white moderate, your good white liberal is working next to in a cubicle, and when they go to lunch and they do their little sister girl thing, the white woman and the black woman, these are the women that are telling white women how horrible black men are and how horrible the dating scene for black men are. I mean, excuse me, how horrible the dating scene for black women is. Black men are horrible. And when Kevin Samuels put a microphone in these women's faces, you get to see these are the women that's telling the world that black men are horrible. Right? So it's not, and that's also me responding to a comment that was kind of made. Generally speaking, to whether this is just online discourse. No, it's not just online discourse. Is it exaggerated online? I would argue yes. I would say yes. A bit more exaggerated online, yes. But this is not just online discourse. And contrary to popular belief, yes, some people are exaggerating. Some people are putting on the internet. But the way they're speaking about black men on the internet, yeah, they believe that. Right? They believe that. Hysterical Trill and two Keisha. Hey, Trill, where did Brutus actually put the knife? See, we say the back. Where Trill, tell everybody where Brutus actually put the knife. Right? Because that, by the way, for those of you that don't know, like backstabber and all of that, that comes from the Julius Caesar story, and it's speaking to Brutus stabbing Julius Caesar in the back. But he didn't actually stab Julius Caesar in the back. Where did he actually stab Julius Caesar? It starts with a B, but it ain't back. Right? At least from my understanding. Mr. Z might be wrong, right? So it's very interesting that you use that phrase, right? Trill. So another thing, one of the young ladies was kind of speaking to young men getting married early and like how they're essentially they're so full of life. They marry young and they're in love, and how it's kind of older men that might be having this conversation. Let me and how like a lot of women as they get older, they're like, I'm not gonna pick up after you. I'm not gonna carry this relationship. I'm not gonna wait until you get it together up, et cetera, et cetera. Let me just put this out here. Black men still earn more than black women, right? This trope of like black women having to carry the black community, carry black men. Yeah, for some, for a minority, maybe they have to carry their individual black man that they're attracted to sexually. Oh yeah, I went there. The other men you're attracted to sexually, you can't afford them or you're a headache and they're not paying for you. Oops. So you are regulated to the men that you're physically attracted to that you got to carry financially. But black men still earn more than black women in general in America. That's a fact. That could be looked up. So this whole, we got to carry them talk, yeah, for those of you that are insufferable and don't have the looks to overcome the fact that you're insufferable, yes, you are relegated to the fit pookies in the black community. That's a fact. Yes, you're absolutely right. But for those of you that are even tolerable, no, that's not true. So let's get that out the way right now. Financially, black men still earn more than black women. Black men still have better credit scores than black women. Black men still start more businesses than black women. Black men still employ more people than black women. Right? Black men clock more hours at work than black women. Black men still are doing financially better than black women. Even the way they title some of these things where it's like black women are the fastest growing entrepreneurs. They ain't say nothing about whether black women have more businesses than black men, because they don't. Right? So let's be very clear when we have this conversation and we start kind of playing the moral high ground thing. Right? When we start counting and seeing who's really the one contributing to the black community. Let's be very careful when we get into that conversation. Because I promise you, a lot of black women are going to be left with egg on their face. Right? A lot of black women are going to be left with egg on their face because they're going to assume that black women are truly the ones contributing to the black community. because they bought their own hype. They bought their own hype over the past 50 or so years about how black women are carrying the black community on their back, right? So maybe our grandmothers knew that was a lie, but our mothers less so. And now our age group, this millennials and older Gen Z, we really bought into the hype. You even hear some young black men repeating that. I call it smelling your own farts, getting high on your own fart. And yes, it's a South Park reference, right? See, at one point you knew when you passed gas it didn't smell right, right? You smelled it, yeah, right? But then you start to develop kind of this thing where you like to smell your own, you know, when you pass gas. You actually like, then you start to pass gas and you think, oh no, it smells like roses. It smells great. You start to like the smell, right? Of your own what, flatulence. Many black women have bought into the hype of the fact that, you know, in their mind, the fact that black women contribute so much more than black men. Black women are carrying the black community on their back, and black men are just here waiting to get put on. And the second they do, they're gonna leave the black community for some white woman, right? Volcanus, I ain't even gonna read it out loud. I thought it when I was saying it. I ain't even gonna read it out loud, but I really wanted to say what you're thinking, right? We're gonna try to keep this PG, right? So let's also go back to same-sex loving women, particularly bolstered, the number being bolstered by bisexual women. Understand why many black women are entertaining bisexual relationships. It's not really, I love women and I love men and I can't decide, right? It's not that. It's not that I'm open for love in any package that it comes from, in any form that it comes from, in any vessel that it comes in. It's not that. It's, I done burnt just about every bridge with men. I'm gonna go over here and chill with the women for a while until a man of my liking saves me from me. And some of you ladies have run into those type of men. Excuse me, those type of women. Y'all have run into those type of women. Some of you have dated those type of women, or your friends have dated those type of women. Right? So you know, you've seen it. Right? What's the term, gay for stay? Referring to men in prison that you know engage in same-sex situationships in prison, but then the second day out of prison they straight as an arrow. I call this opportunist opportunist bisexuals. Right? They're mainly only over there because they're insufferable to men. They tried it with black men, they're insufferable. They done messed around with white and Latino men. Many of you don't know. Those white guys did what men do, particularly white men do. Have fun with that black woman and tossed her right back to the black community. And so now she's over here chilling with you ladies. Right? So they start claiming all type of bisexual. Yeah, are you really bi? Are you just the a-hole that can't make it work with men? So you over there with the ladies and you drive it. And you know, for those of you that remember a few months ago when the Roger report told you even the ladies are having problem with the ladies because the rejects that's going over there don't want to engage in, you know, they don't want to do their part when it comes time to bedroom fun. Yeah, because they're not there for that. They're not actually same-sex loving. They're there because they're trying to find, and we call y'all stud daddies. Y'all are the simps that take care of the ladies after men are like, yeah, I don't want nothing to do with her. After black men are like, yeah, I don't want nothing to do with her. And white men are like, yeah, we didn't have our fun with her. And Latino men are like, yeah, we did too. I'm not even going to mention the Asians. It's not a thing. Then they go to y'all on some same-sex loving thing, and then y'all have a difficult time getting them to, eat the box. Because they're not over there in good faith. They're over there looking to be saved. Saved from their own horrible decisions and own horrible attitude. Right? And Volcanus, thank you for the super sticker. Thank you very much. Oh, actually, it's a super chat. And he says, salute. He gave me the salute sign. He's in Mr. Z in the chat. Thank you very much, brother. Thank you. Right? I want to be very clear. We have to be honest that many of us are being raised by single mothers who have their own issues. I would argue that many young women are entering adulthood with contempt for black men and boys. Period. It's not necessarily experiences that are getting them there. It's the narrative. It's mom and aunt and grandma who fill these young ladies with contempt at an early age, who socialize them to have an adversarial relationship with black boys that are going to become black men, who tell them, don't worry about them boys, go to school, get your education. Okay, fine. Those ladies do get their education. What about what happens on the other side of that? Right? And that's my response to kind of the narrative, the background noise that was going on the panel, with the ladies kind of speaking as if these women kind of developed this contempt for black men as a response. Nah. Consider the majority of the black community is still being raised by single mothers who have issues with the baby father or the ex-husband or the ex-boyfriend. So what you think she's filling her daughter's head up with? See, the difference is that son that's raised by the single mom got to come out here in the real world and the dating world and run right smack dab into the fact that his girlfriend, his baby mom, is just like his mom. He has to run right into the wall of his mother's hypocrisy and her lies, because now he got to date women that are like his mom. That young lady, on the other hand, doesn't have to deal with that. So she gets to be the insufferable a-hole person that doesn't have to deal with the fact that mom helped to make her insufferable. Right? This is something many of you ladies haven't considered and don't have to. Right? What I'm saying is these ladies are being taught to have contempt for black men. It's not about learning to trust. It's not about skill. It's not about being resourceful. Right? It's not about any of that. Learning how to dust yourself off, being resilient, learning how to dust yourself off and trying to get. It's not about any of that. These ladies are being taught at a young age to have contempt for black boys and black men specifically. And then now that little girl is a woman in the dating scene, and we want black straight men to do what with her? Prove themselves to her? Yeah, have fun with that. Right? So I'm gonna spell it out instead of actually saying it. So MGTOW was mentioned, right? And of course, first of all, we don't necessarily use that term, in the black spaces, black manosphere spaces like that. So it's not, and especially over like recently, we don't use that term. But the sentiment Oh yeah, why not? Why not? That's why I said to you ladies earlier, I advocate for these women to go to you ladies, to date you ladies. If black men are the worst, these non-black men are still too damn racist for the most part, then and quite frankly, their female counterparts, so white women and Latina women, are also too damn anti-black, too damn racist. And guess what? That leaves the black women with pretty much other black women, which would explain why black women are the most same-sex loving group of people in the country, right? I want to also stress this. These ladies aren't looking for 50-50 relationships. You let them talk long enough and you'll realize that they start the conversation off speaking like that's what they're seeking. Now, recently, a brother brought back into this space a clip of Bell Hooks, right? Speaking to um what's her face again? Can't remember the name of the white feminist. But Gloria Steinem, there we go. Gloria Steinem, remembered it. Bell Hooks speaking of Gloria Steinem. Gloria Steinem says, the love of her life, the man that, treated her the best, the man that she fell in love with, was, regular dude, didn't have too much money, et cetera, et cetera. Now, here's the important part to mention. Before that segment of the conversation, that portion of the conversation, Bell Hooks said to the audience and to Gloria Steinem, and remember, this is mainly a room full of white women. And remember, Bell Hooks, black feminist. Bell Hooks said to the panel, I was looking for love, but everywhere I went, I found patriarchy. Right? Cute little feminist line, pretty much saying she was looking for love. She was looking to be open, but everywhere she went, she found these men who wanted to practice patriarchal norms, which obviously the way she's framing it is very oppressive, et cetera, et cetera. Remember, this is like one of the most pivotal people coming out of second wave feminism, particularly black feminism. Her words. Now, when Gloria Steinem says the greatest love of her life was essentially a working class white man, Bell Hooks then responds to her, yeah, you keep him over there. Essentially, you keep him over there. That's not my type of love. Now, this is the same woman who previously said, everywhere I was looking for love, but everywhere I went, I found patriarchy. She then turns around and pretty much tells the white woman, this is a black woman talking to a white woman, that said, yeah, you could keep those dudes over there. In other words, she's looking for a provider. That's patriarchal ideas. That's patriarchy. I'm using that to say as if even the black mother of second wave feminism, painted black, if she is essentially speaking about patriarchy by feminist specifications, she's still looking for the paymaster. Then what do we think all of these women that are living the life that Bell Hooks essentially helped to orchestrate, these black women, what do we think they actually sound like and look like? Essentially, thank you, Charles Bentley, Bell Hooks, no romance without finance. Essentially. Right? Now, remember, these are supposed to be people that are anti-capitalist, anti-patriarchy, anti-hierarchies of oppression, et cetera, et cetera. And Bell Hooks, the foremother of all of this, at best, if you want to be extremely kind and generous, at best, is just a little confused about what patriarchy actually look like and what it means. And demanding essentially that men be paymasters or at least come to the table with half financially. We're getting into patriarchal territory. And if she is mixing feminism with patriarchy, then what you do you think that all of these other black women sound like? Well, I would like to direct you to Kevin Samuels' channel. I would like to direct you to the Roger Report. I would like to direct you to Bernard Riley. I would like to direct you to Obsidian. I would like to direct you to Angry Man. I would like to direct you to Mr. Z's channel. Right? That's what needs to be stressed. These women aren't looking for 50-50 relationships. They never have. They never wanted that. It was just a rhetorical weapon because they were the ones that were in academia. So they knew how to speak to white women and speak in that feminist code language. They never wanted egalitarianism for real. They not in the home life, not when it come to paying these bills. But they knew how to speak to white feminists and speak to white feminists in a way that made it seem like, yeah, we're really looking for equality and we want men that are just stand next to us and, bear the burdens of life and help to build a great life and raise these children. And, that's all we want. We're trying to dismantle hierarchies of oppression, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. Then you start asking her about intimacy and her love life and what are her ideas about men and what men should be, and it sounds real patriarchal. That's why they sound so damn confused, by the way, because they're not actually confused. They're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. They're trying to meld feminism and patriarchy at the same time because there's parts of patriarchy they want. The provider protector part, what Mr. Z says is just an overglorified guard dog and a walking wallet. You want the protector provider, but without some type of reciprocation, what it really becomes is you looking for a walking wallet and overglorified guard dog. Right? And by the way, that's patriarchal as hell. Which, by the way, nothing wrong with that. But you can't fit patriarchy and feminism in the same breath. And then, by the way, have it directed and controlled by the women. How does that sound? Right? And y'all talk amongst yourselves. We're gonna pause right here for a second. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. And we're gonna pause right here for a second. They want men to be traditional and they be modern, but traditional only to a certain respect, only to a certain level, not all the way, right? So we'll pause again. Y'all talk amongst yourselves. And we're back. We are back. So yeah. So it's very interesting to hear these ladies cover this topic. A different take from people that are not necessarily invested in the outcome of heterosexual relationships, although they do gain from well, at least maybe sexually from women that enter their spaces because they just can't make it work with men, right? And so initially the conversation um was about they started the conversation off about speaking about frequency and music and kind of these external factors that help to muddy the waters when it comes to the vibe and the conversation between the men and the women. And I hear that, but that's not the issue, right? The issue is that we're having is one of resources, is one of moral high ground, is one of I did more than you did. It's one of I want to live the white woman's life, and I want to be very clear to the ladies. I don't know what part of the country y'all living in, but much of this conversation is about why can't I live the white woman's life? And when they say the white woman, they're really speaking about the upper middle class white women, but they're just saying white women, right? That needs to be stressed. That's what this is really about, right? So the conversation sounds the way it sounds because one of us feels like we're putting in way too much work and we're not getting what we're deserved, what is deserved of what we deserve. Excuse me, right? Y'all give me 1 second. Alrighty, now we can actually speak. All right, we're back. We're back. We're back. So yes, the much of this conversation is skewed the way it is because one of us feels like we're getting the short end of the stick, and that's both men and women. Here's the important part: but women have had the microphone for the better part of 5 decades. Black women have had the microphone for the better part of 5 decades, and we could have never expected them to be honest about the dynamics in the black community. As a matter of fact, right? There's so much data that flies in the face of the dominant narrative, and that goes from everything from domestic violence um to how it's initiated to um spousal we'll say deletion, right? Much of the reason for that caused divorce we understand, and the dominant narrative has skewed towards men are these horrible monsters and creatures. Women are these innocent wilting violets, and men just come and destroy their life. That has been the dominant narrative across much of the Western world for at least half a century, for at least 5 decades, for at least half a century, particularly in the black community. The dominant narrative in the black community could be summed up in the movie Waiting to Excel. The dominant narrative in the black community could be summed up in The Color Purple, right? For Mr. Z, because I'm in my mid 30s, mainly by color, excuse me, Waiting to Excel. Waiting to Excel has all the negative tropes about men. One of the brothers is secretly DL. One of them leave his wife for a white woman, right? One of the brothers is a great dude, but he's square and his sex is horrible. The other one, the sex is great, but he's a loser, right? all the tropes, right? All the negative tropes about black men. That movie encompasses it all, and it does it with a great soundtrack, right? So, I wanted to cover this because I found it interesting. I thought it was something that we could have a conversation about, that we could, the fact that same-sex loving women, and mainly masculine presenting same-sex loving women, speaking about heterosexual relationships and how they view it, right? And I thought it was interesting that they did not mention, and let me be a bit antagonistic with this. Y'all didn't mention the fact that a lot of them ladies is coming to y'all after they done destroyed every situation they ever had with a straight man. Y'all didn't mention it. Well, y'all might have covered this in another video. I'm almost certain, right? The fact that a lot of them ladies are coming to y'all to save them after they done torched every single straight relationship they ever had. And how that even is insufferable to you ladies. And you can see why they can't make it work with men. Right? As I said, we call y'all stud daddies. Right? Train tracks, train tracks, train tracks. And yes, from over here, it does seem that at least sometimes the ladies use y'all as, in case of emergency, break glass. Right? In case of emergency, break glass. In case you destroy and torch every situation you ever had with any man, white, black, Latino, or otherwise, definitely black, you can always fall back on other women in that capacity. Not in a sister girl capacity, but in a same-sex loving capacity. Right? Black Uru says, right? And thank you for being in here, Black Uru. And that generation of women raised the current city girl generation, right? And what it really is, and what it really is, there is a segment, a video circling around the interwebs of black women entertaining, like, some of these African spiritualities and Okomi and voodoo and hoodoo and just different kind of ways of thinking about spirituality, about religion, and I'm putting religion in quotes, about oneself. And there's still rules over there for those particular forms of whatever, right? There's still rules. And there's a segment that covers the young ladies kind of going through it, mainly black women. And even in leaving Judeo-Christianity behind, right, those ladies still want to go into that other space and change the rules there to the point where there's no rules, where there's no, you got to be certified, you have to come up this way, you have to have a mentor that way. They want to change that. I'm bringing that up in this conversation to say these women have a toxic relationship with negative liberty. There are rules over here in the straight world. They give 2 middle fingers to the rules in the straight world, then go over there in the same-sex loving world. Excuse me. Let's rewind. There's rules over here, even in the black community, in the straight world. They give 2 middle fingers to straight black men, go try to date white and Latino men because they think white and Latino men are marks and simps. I want to be very clear why these women engage or attempt to engage in relationship with white and Latino men. Because they think they're dumb lames with more money and stability. Let's be very clear. They think they're marks. When it doesn't work, and for the vast majority of black women, even by the data, that situationship or that sexual whatever doesn't matriculate into marriage. So it doesn't work. Then you done been through black men, you done been through white and Latino men, not Asian men, it's not a thing, stop it. Then you go deal with women. And even there, once again, They don't want to play their part when it comes to certain activities. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Because they have a toxic relationship with negative liberty. They do not want to follow any rules, right? None of them. Any of the standards and ways of thinking, the way you're supposed to move, the things that the things that go unsaid, they don't want to play none of those rules. And so, even when they go over there to you, ladies, it doesn't work out. Right? That's why we have these conversations. That's what you saw exposed on Kevin Samuel's channel, what, twice a week? That's what you see being exposed on the Daily Wrap Up crew. And that conversation is important. There is no fixing the black community until you deal with this hypocrisy. Right? And as I said before, as I said earlier, and this response is way longer than their video. Their video was like almost 40 minutes long. This response is going on for a while. But as I said earlier, that's why Mr. Z just says, hey, go engage in same-sex loving relationships or date out. They still don't get the message. The message is it's not black men, it's you. But for you to realize it's you, you got to go date, and it's never going to happen. By the way, I understand this for everyone listening. For you to realize it's you, you have to go date non-black men. You have to go engage in same-sex loving relationships, and then maybe on the other side of 60, you'll realize it's you. Probably you still won't. Right? A handful of you will become Diane Carroll, but most of you will be more like Eartha Kitt. Sahel Potter is exactly. Sahel Potter says, and this is exactly what perfect example. Perfect example. Sahel Potter says, Halle Berry be paying child support because it failed across all races. Aisha Taylor, last time we checked, was with a white woman because it didn't work with the white man, and they struggle to have children, so that's something to put in that conversation also. So I don't know if Aisha Taylor ever dated a black man, but still, married to the white guy for what, at least a decade? Didn't work. Divorce, had to pay alimony if I'm not mistaken. Then next time we see you with a white woman, like I said. And y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. So this is why we cover these type of things. It's so that we can have an honest conversation about why we are where we are. Because to be frank, when you get to mainstream media, even certain segments of social media, when you listen to the dominant society speak, when you listen to even much of the black community speak, we put all the onus on black men. We start sounding like Steve Harvey. We start sounding like Shaq. We start sounding like Derek Jackson. We start sounding like Oprah. Right? And that's the beauty of the internet, is that it's democratized the town square. And black men get to speak how they want to speak. And present things that other people are ignoring. Other people have lied by omission. Other people just straight up lied. Right? Other people have ignored the way the black women speak. You ladies have been around straight black women that insult straight black men by implying, suggesting, or just straight up saying that they're gay as an insult. Let's be very clear what Mr. Z is saying. These women know these black men are straight, but they imply something about their sexuality as an insult, as a pejorative. So we're not saying she's saying, oh, this, like she really believes this black man is same sex loving. No. But yet the black community for the longest pretended like that's not a thing. As a matter of fact, it got so bad that straight black women will be standing next to their gay black friend. This black man doesn't say anything when that straight black woman insults a straight black man by calling that straight black man gay. And that gay man, that real gay man, will say nothing. I didn't say a black gay man in a closet. No. She know he gay. He know she know he gay. And still insult the straight man with the homophobic slur. And the black community has let that slide for decades. The black community has let the hypocrisy coming out of women's mouths slide to the young lady that brought up Kevin Samuels. You could only get a Kevin Samuels because the black community never addressed the hypocrisy in the women. Kevin Samuels' channel was marginal until he started addressing the women. Kevin spent years speaking to the men, and he was doing numbers, but nothing like when he started speaking to the women. And that speaks to the fact that we just didn't. The years that Kevin Samuels spent speaking to the men about how they dress to get their life together, to get themselves together, that's just another black man critiquing black men. Nothing to see here. But when a black man, who at least enough black women find attractive, is articulate enough to critique the women and knows how to filter through all the BS, he starts doing numbers. This man is what, 1.7, 1.8 million subscribers, up about 400,000 subscribers since his death. When he passed away, he was around like 1.3, 1.4, something like that, million subscribers. So this is something that we have to be honest about. So, I'm about to come to a close, but I definitely wanted to address this. I wanted to put it out here. Look, I've watched a couple of these ladies' videos. I find their takes on certain things intriguing. They kind of give me a little bit of insight into what's going on over there in the same-sex loving world for black women. But they addressed what they see going on with heterosexual people, particularly in the black community. I want to say they kind of framed it around that, but they didn't. From my understanding, they didn't say straight black, but clearly black people, right? Black people talking about black people, right? And Michael Ross, this, I've had similar. I've had similar. And Michael Ross says, had an American black woman with two eye chest tattoos years ago when I was in my early 20s working at the register at an urban clothing store tell me I must be gay. I guess apparently because I was ignoring her. Right. And that also speaks to the fact that we don't think that black men should have standards. Black men should be like, it's funny because these people insult black men by calling us dogs and that will have sex with anything, but then when you're actually one of the men that have standards and you won't have sex with anything, like most men, believe it or not, most black men, but when you wouldn't have sex with anything, then they insult you going in the opposite direction and saying and implying or suggesting that you're same sex loving, right? That you're same sex loving. Meanwhile, black women are the most same sex loving group of people in the country. And as I attempted to explain to these ladies, there's a reason for that, and it's not love, right? They're looking for Captain Saveums. They're insufferable. They can't make it work with black men. They do the swirler divester thing. They can't make it work with white or Latino men. Then they go to black women because white and Latina women aren't interested either. So now they've been regulated to dating other black women. And this is something the black community refuses to speak about. Like I think Mrs. Z is like the only person that keep on beating the drums on this one. Like even in the Black Manosphere, we don't really go there that often. Mr. Z is like the one that's constantly on some. So nobody ain't gonna say nothing about the ladies dating the ladies because they're insufferable. That this is not about love or even sex. Like this is you're an a-hole. You can't make it work with black men. You can't make it work with white or Latino men. You definitely ain't making it work with white or Latina women. So you end up with other black. And Mr. Z gonna be the only one speaking about this. That this is black women's version of like political lesbianism, right? When it really is like temper tantrum, or like I said earlier, in case of emergency, break glass. Same sex loving relationships. And I think you ladies know Mr. Z is not off base on that one, right? I don't think y'all that one. I don't think y'all are actually push back on, right? D. This is another one. Worked with an LGBT so-called female with a chest tattoo and made offspring with the East Indian male parent. Can't make this up. Rest in peace, Kevin. Can't make this up. Look at that, right? So in and out. I just found this interesting. I just wanted to cover this just as a like, kind of vanity project type thing because I just found it interesting to hear, um, right, same-sex loving black women speak about the relationship between men and women and actually say, they like to see, strong black families and strong black men and that they need black men, just not in that capacity, which I find, fascinating. Speak on it more, speak on it more, right? And as I said before, there's a reason why men are like black men, straight black men are like, yeah, no, if I can't have it this way, I don't want it, right? Because the ladies can speak about being taken for granted all they want. They've had the microphone for 50 plus years. They've had the narrative on their side for 50 years. And all they did was tell the world how horrible men are, black men, right? So on that note, everyone, we will pause right here, right? We're about to be an hour and 15 minutes in. We'll pause right here. Um, I might um I want to do a panel. As a matter of fact, closing out, I want to do a panel speaking about the um Republican primary. We're let's shoot for, ooh, maybe Sunday night if we could pull that off. Maybe if not Sunday night. Oh, let's see, because there's the Black Manosphere show of the week. We'll let's table that. But sometime this weekend, let's do a panel on the repo. So for those of you, I'm giving everyone enough time to check out the Republican primary, and let's have a panel. And obviously, I'll bring anyone up. If Obsidian is out there, he wants to come on. Uh, Dr. Green Gorilla, Dr. T, Dr. Thunder, definitely. Obviously, BGS, Charles, anyone, all the moderates. Obviously, conservative brothers, definitely lefties. PK, if you want to come up, we will. Let's have a conversation about that. And what I want to do, see, the thing is you can't actually stream it. So what we'll do, I'm gonna try to find out the next um Republican debate, and let's see if I could take that night off, and let's see if we don't do a live coverage of it, right? Well, I won't be actually showing it on screen because I don't want the copyright strike, but we'll be watching it at the same time and then making comments about it, right? Because let's do that. Do a Black Manosphere, and even on that panel, I want it to be diverse, and we could just be giving our commentary, like, on it, right? And same thing when, if there's a DNC, Democrat, let's do that. Those are plans, right? So let's put that out there. But definitely, sometime this weekend, I want to cover the Republican debate, and so let's put a pin in that, and hopefully we'll get to that. All right, everyone. So let's pause right here. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Go check out other Black Manosphere content. Go check out the non-Manosphere content, like the Republican primary debate, right? And obviously, the front runner wasn't there, and the front runner is like damn, they're lapping everyone else. We're talking about Donald Trump here, right? But so like, I will say this. I agree with everyone that said this is like a race for second place, right? So we will say that on that one, and we'll truly pause right here. Like I said, go check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content, and we'll pause right here. Love, peace, and chicken grease, and y'all have a great rest of y'all night. All right, Mr. Z out. All right, everyone.